4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I'ma press play every time.
The funny don't stop the show. The funny don't stop. Hey, the funny don't stop the show. The funny don't stop. The funny don't stop the show. The funny don't stop. The funny don't stop the show. The funny don't stop. Hey.
My name is Halo Thomas, and you're listening to the Funny Don't Stop Show.
What's up, man?
Hey, what is going down, people?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. What's
man.
up? What's up? Hey, my name is Alex Thomas. I'm the host.
I'm Stabby Amusing.
I am Sid Brass.
I'm Betsy Cox.
And I am Raul.
And you're watching
The Funny Don't Stop Show.
Man, I think
Yeah, it
that's
is.
so funny that you actually do the lip sync over your own voiceover.
He's a
That
guy.
is funny. He pre-recorded and you see him in the background. That is brilliant. I'm so not mad at you, Raul.
Oh man, what's up, man?
Speaking of you, how you doing, Raul? How was New Year's Eve for you, man?
New Year's Eve was calm, man. I meditated into the new year, man. I've done it for the last 5 years.
You meditated?
Yeah, I meditate for about an hour and a half right into the new year. So I
With
start
weed?
like
With weed? Does that
yeah,
help with the meditation?
yeah. That kind of zones me out a little bit more.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
a little heavier meditation.
A little heavier. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a little higher level. A higher level of meditation. Get it?
Yeah.
A higher level of meditation. What is wrong with you guys? Come on, wake up, people. Y'all looking at me sometimes like, hi, Leticia. Savvy, amusing. Happy New Year, brother. What'd you do on New Year's Eve?
So Happy New Year, man. I brought it in with the fam, man. This was one of the first years that we couldn't really do anything. No New Year's Eve parties, no paying $200 to get in the club.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just brought it in, man, with a bunch of prompts and the kid and the family, man, and just prayed that I would be a little bit more successful this year than the last one, man. I mean, I used to have all these crazy resolutions, but after 2020, I just simply prayed for health, prayed for success, and I feel like I do the rest myself.
Hey, let the church say amen.
Yes, sir.
I said let the church say amen.
Amen.
Are you guys not listening?
There it is.
Are you guys not listening to the Deacon Reverend Savvy Amusing? Come on now. Jeez.
Yeah.
Betsy Cox, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to all y'all.
I love the bow. I love the bow. Is that something new for 2021? We're going bows out? Not balls out, but bows out.
I've been rocking this look for
Bows
a
out.
long time. It's just I can't always be big hair Betsy. Okay, y'all. Sometimes
Big
I gotta do
hair
something
Betsy.
different.
Big hair Betsy.
But can I tell you something, Betsy? It's crazy. With the bow and your hair pulled back, you look like 21.
Come on, Al.
Guys, are you guys just going to leave me out there like I'm the only person that talks on this show?
Looking young. She's looking young.
It's the ring light.
Gave you a
It's
lot
the
of
ring
youth.
light. Let's get your doctor on the show and let's
So you're telling me without a ring light, you just immediately go back to like 41 or something like that? Is what you're saying?
Thank you. Pretty much. Yeah. Let's see what tips he's got for white people who are aging.
What'd you do on New Year's, Betsy? New Year's Eve.
Because of all the COVID, I don't know if you guys heard, they're like, don't drive. Like if you have a heart attack and they can't revive you on site, they're going to pronounce you dead. Like,
damn.
I just was so nervous about drunk drivers. So we stayed home, Steve and I, by ourselves. And then the next day I cooked this huge meal and my sisters came over.
Okay. Well, that's how you do it. I did not know they threatened everyone with saying, so if you're outside and you're driving and you get a heart attack, we're not going to come after you because of coronavirus. I did not know that.
Well, have you seen all the accidents that have been going on and all the drunk driving and how many people have been killed during this pandemic? And it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Why is that though? Why is it drunk? Oh, because people are more drunk during the pandemic?
Apparently,
I didn't know that.
alcohol and drug abuse is up
at an all-time high.
All-time high.
I'm being honest with you. That's one stat I did not hear, but I believe it. I don't think you're lying about that.
Way
People are depressed, and they're trying to self-medicate. What about you, Said Brass? New Year's Eve, what'd you do?
Man, I just chilled, man. Chilled in the house. I made black-eyed peas. And
hey, that's black.
Green. Yeah, I definitely was black.
It was a soulful New Year for you.
Chilled out with a cigar.
As you should.
Greens, black-eyed peas,
and cigars.
A steak.
Wow, was it
a tomahawk steak?
Oh, okay. Was Al Green playing in the background?
No.
Anthony Hamilton, I just feel like you needed a super black soundtrack with your evening.
Miles Davis, man, just chilling. Miles Davis.
That's how you do it.
Just kind of chill jazz.
Okay, well, you guys sound like you were really chill. You were nothing like in Atlanta, where clubs were packed like a motherfucker. Put it this way: one club, before you roll the video, because I want you to roll the video, just like we all, and just so you guys all know, at home, the kids when New York was first, 3 hours ahead, so that was 8:00. Right after that, kids knocked out, sleep, and me and my wife just laid in bed and watched what's his name, Ryan Seacrest and all the other people. Yeah, so it was pretty chill. We didn't go anywhere either.
How drunk? What's the name? Ryan Seacrest was.
Oh my! They were really taking shots.
Yeah.
I forget the other dude's name. Cohen.
Anderson Cooper.
Anderson Cooper and him.
Anderson Cooper was fine, and he was kind of low key embarrassed.
Right.
But what's the other guy name?
Cohen, and they had Snoop on.
Andy Cohen.
Andy Cohen.
He was drunk
off his ass.
Hell.
But they were really taking shots of whiskey.
It was funny.
It was funny. That was kind of the highlight of the night. But in Atlanta, let's talk about Atlanta. That's been wide open for the longest. Put it this way: before you roll this video, not only were the clubs packed, Savvy, the club got shot up. 6 people got stabbed on New Year's Eve. You ain't supposed to be out. This club called Republic.
Out, bro.
Yeah, Republic. Let me just get this all out. A few people got shot. 6 people, 3. I don't know how many people got stabbed. How about the next night? They did another party at the same damn club, and they called it the first day of the New Year party. Wow. And they talked to the promoter, and they're like, dude, 6 people got shot here last night, and 3 people got stabbed, and the promoter was like, that was last night, okay? We ain't tolerating that shit here tonight, okay? That was New Year's. This is the first. People don't get shot on the first, bro. They don't get shot on the first. We cleaned up off that blood off the dance floor, and we back at it.
Clean slate.
We straight. We got a whole new security team and everything. Ain't nobody getting shot here tonight. Now stabbed, that's a whole different thing, but ain't nobody getting shot, okay?
That's wild, man.
Ain't no guns in 21. You understand me? But it was last night. But that was last night. That was a different year.
That was last year.
That was last year.
That was last year.
That was 6 hours ago. That was 6 hours ago. Nigga, that's the past.
6 hours ago.
That's the past. Can you please roll the video? Please roll the video.
Atlanta is open for business, and that's evident by the lines you see forming behind me at the Republic Lounge. And all of these cars we've seen rolling through here, almost all of them are non-Atlanta or Georgia plates, so they're all from out of town. We talked with visitors earlier. They say they're not worried about the risk of the rising coronavirus cases here.
Video from ATL Scoop shows a brawl inside the Republic Lounge turning violent around 3 this morning. Relax. Atlanta police say at least 7 people were injured, 3 of them stabbed.
Back out here live again as we take a live look at the Republic Lounge. It's pretty packed, and this is after, again, that night or early morning violence. But they're having a first day of the New Year party. And, this virus, this isn't just an Atlanta problem. These folks will eventually have to go home and then run the risk of spreading the virus in their own communities.
I can't make that up, guys. I can't make that up. It's like they acting like Corona does not exist. What's your feeling on that, Savvy?
Man, I just said I hate that this disease is based on what the hell somebody else do. Like I've been the type of person that mind my business my whole life. Now you're forced to be in other people's business because them not following the rules can fuck you up. So I just think that it's just too many people out there that don't give a fuck. And because they don't, we're going to be in this pandemic a very long time.
Absolutely. And what's sad is you take a city like, that's known for partying, then you take somewhere like Miami where they were on the same exact shit. But in Miami, they was partying like it was a New Year's Day party. Like, show them that video real quick, Raul. Like this.
What Corona? What Corona? Damn. Corona or not? It's looking amazing right now.
Betsy, I see you laughing your ass off. Betsy, when you go to pool parties, do you just hop out the car in your thong? I mean, you're just naked immediately with your purse and your heels before you even go in?
Not if my ass looks like that. All I'm just saying is we need to get that doctor.
Absolutely. Because it looked like they were giving away $5,000 to the flattest booty. If you can come in here with no cakes, your ass could leave with 5 racks.
Climbing up mountains this whole pandemic, trying to keep my ass kind of in the air. And we know it's not big.
I couldn't believe when I saw that. I was like, dude. And I looked up thinking, maybe the pool is like 3 feet away. Maybe there's an edge of the pool. Like, no. They were in valet with their heels, their purses,
and a thong.
Just 6 deep. They were 6 deep.
God, honestly, I wish I had the confidence. I wish I had the confidence.
Betsy, a few of those chicks should have had throwback jerseys on. I'm not even gonna lie. The shit should have went down to their knees. We shouldn't have had to see that. And then on top of that, no mask. I mean, no ass and no mask. No. God damn. No ass, no mask.
A mask for your ass at this point.
Pretty much. Your little no cheeks are gonna get sick here tonight.
God help us.
Said, I already know what you feel about that, but I want to hear it come out your mouth. Said, you're on mute. Said's on mute. Said.
I got it.
All right.
I didn't even want to state the obvious.
I thought that's why you muted yourself, because you didn't want us to hear the violent words that you were about to say. You didn't want us to hear your super black thoughts.
I'm glad you had a balance in this topic. So we see it on the black level, but we see ignorant white people doing the same.
Also, right.
It's an equal opportunity outrage. So
thank you.
What I was gonna say. I appreciate us having a balanced aspect in the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But the sad part about those young ladies that was getting out the car with the bikini and in line is that the funny part is when a guy would actually approach them, then they'll be like, "Oh no, don't talk to me, don't say nothing to me." You're like, "Oh, come here, hoe," and he was like, "I'm not a hoe."
Right.
I'm just dressed up like one.
Yeah. But you're just naked in valet. And I should respect that. Correct?
Exactly.
Hey, bro. Hey, Sid. I think women are the only ones that could actually get away with that. Like, because I can't put a blue rag in my pocket, sag, put on a blue hat backwards, and walk down the street and tell a blood, I don't gangbang, man. I just love this color. It's just a wonderful color.
As you're looking like Super Crip. Super Crip.
OG Super Crip. Leggings with no drawers and hop out with a thong on. If you say something to her, it's, no, get the fuck away from me.
Right.
I'm a Christian. Don't say nothing.
Just so you know, okay, my Bible is in my thong, okay? Just want you to know that. It's a little mini Bible that my grandmother gave me. Okay, and we're gonna go in here and we're gonna read scriptures next to the pool. Okay.
My Bible is in my phone.
After we do shots, we're gonna read John 3:16. Okay.
Before you do it, please. You know,
Right.
isn't it funny? All these people out, no mask, no mask, no
Yeah.
mask.
Right.
None.
Right.
It's
And
a
I don't care.
This is a totally a Southern thing, man. It's just something about the South, man.
Yeah.
That people do not want to respect the laws. I think it's just because it's such a social community that people are like, dude, we're willing to go down in flames, but we're
Not only
going to
that
suspend
said,
our
but
social activities.
But do you remember like before the Civil War, the South didn't want to be a part of America anymore. They wanted to be different. You know, they never did want to be. So they're just doing the same thing. Like, hey, we just gonna keep defying what y'all put in place, and we're gonna do what the hell we want to do. I saw a flyer the other day, dog, that said, "Is your state on lockdown? Well, come to Florida. You could party."
Yeah. Well, it's funny.
That's crazy.
It's funny you said that. It's funny you said that, Savvy, because that was when you saw that the video we rolled of Atlanta, right? And the reporter was on the street talking about what's going on. Yeah. I edited that video. There's a whole little 3-minute part that I left out, but you said it, so I really should have left it in there. And his whole topic was all the young people that came from Detroit, New York, different parts of Boston, Mississippi, Denver, were going to Atlanta because it was wide open and their states were shut down. I mean, there was one dude that was damn near crying. He was from Philly. He's like, yo, man, it's fucked up because, like, in Philly, we can't go nowhere. Like, every place is shut down. So me and the homies, we was like, let's go where the clubs is popping. Let's go where the COVID at. You know what I mean?
Let's go where the COVID at.
And where the Corona hoes. You know what I'm saying? So we was like, hit up. They said they was having a Corona hoe, party in ATL. And on the flyer, what's so crazy? Are you going to think I'm making this up? On the flyer, it specifically said, shout out to Detroit, New York, DC, Baltimore. Like, in other words, like embracing.
They were marketing that shit too.
Exactly. Yeah. Embracing. And the reporter even went as far to say, you can tell that this is all tourists because they looked at all the parking,
he said that
license plates.
License plates, yeah.
And like none of them were from Atlanta. So those were promoters at Republic, they came up that night. A few people had to die and get stabbed, but I'm pretty sure they made a little extra money. They started off, put it this way, I hate to say it, but they started off the year killing it.
But Alex, dog, see that's why I like our era of comedy so much, because remember the part in Don't Be a Menace while drinking your juice in the hood.
I was in that movie, yes.
Where everybody was hitting the weed, right?
Yes.
And then dude died, and
yes.
so he was like, "Pass me that shit."
Yeah.
So it's the same way, bro.
That
like,
shit.
You
You're right.
heard like 9 people got stabbed up. And you're like, yo, I'm going to that motherfucker tomorrow, nigga.
Right.
It's crazy, bro.
Right.
Every joke has some truth to it, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I pride myself on that. That's why when I say at the Funny Don't Stop Show, we find the funny and everything. Hey, man, at the end of the day, this is therapeutic, not only for me, but I'm pretty sure it's therapeutic for you guys also as the team. And yo, man, in our little year and a half of being together, I was just telling somebody today, man, we have went through tragedies. We've been through, people dying, a pandemic, like craziness, but somehow God has given us the power and the strength to continue doing what we do.
Yeah.
And entertaining people in a time, I would like to say more than ever before, people are looking to be entertained.
Absolutely.
With that being said, I believe our guest is in the building, right?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Not yet. Okay, before you get in, Alex, I want to ask everybody something.
And then I'm going to get to you, Betsy. Go first, Savvy.
Yeah. I want to ask everybody something, because I was reading this one thing. Every time you start off the new year, you always try to find something motivational to push you forward. So I was reading something, man, and I've been hearing a lot of people now tell you, think positive. If you want to be successful, be positive. So let me read you the 9 Habits of Wealthy People by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I want you to tell me if you guys believe any of it.
Okay.
Number one, they wake up early. So he's saying wealthy people wake up early. That's number one. Number two, they meditate. Number three, they do not watch TV, they read. Number four, they write to-do lists every night before they go to bed. Number five, they keep themselves busy. Number six, they network. Number seven, they know when to say no. And number eight, they manage their money. So out of all the ones I just named, do you deem any of those to be bullshit, or is everything true that he said?
Okay. I'm going to start with everything he said is true, but there's a few things that are like to each his own. Like, I've always read. I've always been a reader. I can't say I only read and I don't watch TV, because TV to me is still a tool, and we have social media now. Don't get me wrong. I have to keep up on what's going on in the world, but I am not blinded by the TV. I am not one of those people. I'm too creative, and I'm constantly. I'm a living content monster. I come up with content. I come up with jokes. I write these shows every single week. There's a ton. I got a ton of shit to say. So I think the problem with nowadays is people are so much enthralled in TV. They're so much enthralled with their social media that, okay, if you're so into what other people are doing, what part of the day, when do you ever yourself go, what are you going to create today? What are you going to come up to? What are you going to work on? How are you going to work on you? How are you going to be a better? So I have to learn, and I give a lot of this credit to my wife, I have to just learn how to manage those things. But I would say out of those 8 things, and there was one other thing that I probably don't do, but I agree with all that shit. But there's one other one you said that it was reading every single night, a to-do list. I'm constantly writing down shit I need to do and stay busy, stay creative, stay, keep those creative juices going. The meditating part is, that's for me, that's when I'm working out, or when I'm playing golf. Like Raul and I went and hit golf balls this morning, and man, it's crazy. Something that small for me being a dad. And when I come home, it's changing diapers, baths, homework to help my wife out, to be a better dad, to be a better father. Man, anytime I can get away, whether it's smoking a cigar with Raul or Sayed or something like, man, that is my meditation. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different way. Don from Philly, what's up?
Don Philly.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Alex. I think you took all the hot points, so I actually don't have a lot to disagree with that. I would say that what you do with that time is probably what's the most valuable in all those things. I think the pillars of them are great, but there's a lot of people that do all of those things, but they're unproductive in when they do those things. So I would think that, trying to evaluate what's the best use of all those different pillars and making sure you're maximizing each one of those in the best way that you possibly can. Because you can read, but what are you reading?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
What
are you
what
reading?
Are you meditating on,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. So I think that will probably be the second gear to all of those fundamental principles. But we have our guest in the guest room, in the green room. So
ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, this man has not only been a lifelong friend of mine, but I'm just so proud of him as being one of the top African American plastic surgeons in the United States of America. He has his own practice, and he is going to explain it all, talk to us all, answer any questions. But welcome to the Funny Don't Stop Show. Big round of applause. Dr. Khalil Andrews is in. There he is. Now we see him.
That's right.
How you doing, Khalil?
Can't complain. Here in Iowa, dealing with the snow.
Iowa, is it snowing like crazy, or?
There's snow on the ground, but it's cold, so the snow stays. It snowed last week, so yeah, a lot different from Southern California, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I want to introduce you to my friends, man. The young lady with the bow in her hair. That's Betsy Cox. Betsy Cox, Khalil Andrews.
Hi, doctor.
How are you? I watch the show. I'm a fan of the show, so I fairly familiar with everybody.
Oh, well, then they're savvy amusing right there. Say hi.
What's up, Doc? How you doing?
Good, man. I follow you. Just crack up, laughing all the time.
Appreciate you, Doc.
And that's our residential Latino in the building, Raul.
How you doing, Doc? You gotta have him. Yeah. Doing all the work behind stage.
And that is Fact Man, aka Said Brass, in the building.
Nice to meet you, Doc.
Yes. I gotta have my notepad when I watch. You know what I'm saying?
Khalil, can I just tell you, dude, how crazy it is to hear people call you doctor?
No, it's amazing. Yeah, no, I'm amazed every day. I'm very blessed, happy. Certainly coming from where we came from. Hey,
I could tell them how far back we go, but could you kind of maybe tell them a little bit so they don't think I'm lying?
Absolutely. So I met Alex in junior high school, and we went to John Burroughs. And Alex was he was an amazing. He was funny from the beginning. And when we came, that's sort of when the party got started. It wasn't because of me; it was because of Alex and Daryl. And of course, I'm talking about Daryl Heath.
But Khalil's the first to have a car, so when he had a car, we rolled with him.
Exactly.
What was that red? What was that red car that we had when we were like 15? And you drove us everywhere in that bitch. It was red with a white top.
Exactly, Dodge Colt. It was a Dodge Colt.
A Dodge Colt.
Never forget.
Where did you get that? Did your mom give you that, or your dad?
No, I bought it from my mother's friend for $2,000 and paid it in installments.
At 15.
Yes, it was at 15 exactly. And remember, I was a bank teller, so I worked.
Remember that we had imagine having a homeboy in 9th grade and this nigga works at a bank. We were like, oh my god.
Yes, it actually was Los Angeles' first black-owned bank.
Broadway Federal.
After the SNL crisis, they had to become a bank, and so they were Broadway Federal. That's right.
I remember because most people when your junior high school buddy gets a job, you go visit them up at McDonald's or you go visit them. We were visiting this dude at a bank.
Yes,
and we were catching buses. We were catching buses to go visit him at a bank.
Yes, indeed. Hey, Alex, give me 2 seconds. One of my staff member has something to say. Erica, you got a question for me? Okay. Can I call them with those? Yep. Hey, yeah, no, I'm back. So, okay. I had the car, and so I would drive. Alex and Daryl were, like I say, the life of the party. As a matter of fact, they used to call us that Daryl, Alex, Khalil, Alexei.
I'll say it for you. I remember Robbie Murchison. When he would see us three, he'd be like, "Oh my God, there go that Daryl, Alex, Khalil nigga." That's what he called us. He was like, "Oh, there go that Daryl, Alex, Khalil nigga."
But I'll tell you one interesting thing is that Daryl and Alex had great personalities, and they would engage parents and of course our friends, and so all the parents would love having us over because they would have been cracking up, and I basically was the chauffeur, and I'd be entertained as well. But a lot of people don't know at Fairfax High School, Alex won best sense of humor. And actually, you won best
class
dancer.
Clown. It was class clown, best sense of humor. I think they gave best dancer to Kenny or something like that, but I could have won that too.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I won with me and Erica Tyler. I won cutest couple.
Couple. I remember that. I remember your high school girlfriend.
That's
before
right.
all your real babies. I remember that.
That's right. And then I think I won best dressed as well.
Yes, you were best dressed. That's another thing. This dude looked like most people have like math and English books in their backpacks in high school. He had like GQs and Esquires.
He was a banker, man. He was a banker.
Dude, the dude was just, I just got to say, you were so far ahead of us. I'm just proud of that. I remember you saying at a young age when we were 13 and 14, you wanted to be a doctor. Cut to when we graduated high school, and you're the only one that like immediately went to college. Like before I know it, I'm going to clubs, but I'm like, I'll leave the club because I got to go visit my best friend up in Berkeley. I remember that.
Yep.
But, you really did the process.
Yep, and we would hang. Remember PageNet? Remember that summer?
Man, I remember it all. Like we literally could be here 2 hours talking about our past. Yeah. But what I want to do, I want to talk We knew you wanted to be a doctor.
Yes,
I remember when you first went to med school, the whole thing was being a heart surgeon. And next thing you know, plastic surgery. How did you go from that to that?
Yeah, well, not to get too technical, things in heart surgery changed. They developed these stents called drug-coated stents, and it really changed the whole practice. Most of the heart surgeons would do these procedures called bypass procedures, and they were supplanted by use of stents that had drugs that coated them that decreased the chance that those stents would become occluded. And so things sort of changed. One of the things that I like about plastic surgery is, of course, you can be really creative. You really, and it's a different interaction with patients in the sense that you're taking people from here, which is where they're at their baseline, to a place higher, right?
Before and afters, basically.
Right, which is not to take anything away from people who do general surgery or heart surgery, but typically you're taking a person who is at their baseline, and they get to some disease state, and you're bringing that person back up to their baseline, and it's very rewarding as well. I'm not taking anything, like I say, away from them, but the interaction I have with patients is a little bit different. My office, we have, fun, jovial environment with music, that sort of thing. We do take care of some breast cancer patients, so there are some serious things that we do, but a lot of stuff we do, is cosmetic, and, people are super happy. It, gets, like moms back, their,
the mommy makeovers.
Yes, indeed.
So let me ask you this, Khalil. Let me ask you this. Growing up in our generation, and even though you're a doctor and you became a very successful guy, still our generation was hip hop. So my question to you is, have you ever done a surgery of any type of procedure in like NWA playing in the background, or like, fuck the police coming straight from the underground? Can I get a scalpel, please? Coming straight from a nigga that is brown. Motherfucker said, pop, pop. Like,
for sure, man. I play Drake, and we play Drake all the time. Yeah, for sure. The nice thing is I have my own surgery center, and so we can play whatever music. We have Sonos, and we play whatever music we want, for sure.
Have you ever had somebody come in and you just like, look, I appreciate that you're going to pay for this, but I just can't do that? Like, is there anybody that goes too far and they want too much, and you're like, look, I'm just going to be honest with you. I can't do that, or I won't do that.
Yeah, that mostly happens from a safety standpoint, Alex, quite frankly. So, we have people that call in, want liposuction for weight loss, and it's, not a weight loss, procedure, that kind of thing. Sometimes people aren't healthy enough for the procedures that we do, if they have heart trouble or lung problems and are on oxygen, that kind of thing. I haven't had a lot of folks who come in like on the botch show, you know what I mean? But, I do.
And ask you to fix their horrible job that they got 10 years ago.
So we see that, and everybody, sort of has, unfortunate outcomes, and, but we do see, situations where, things could have been done differently, or, the thing that we never know is what the person looked like before. You know what I mean? When you're the
when they come in botched.
Correct.
That's
correct.
so crazy.
Yeah.
But Betsy, I know you wanted to say something. But before we say something, Betsy, so do you mean with a picture, Khalil? Like they'll come in,
like I say, they come in and you see some deformity, and you don't know what they looked like before they had the surgery. And so, sometimes, things that look botched aren't necessarily botched. It's just how, people came to the initial doctor. But we definitely do see some situations where people, have some unfortunate outcomes, and, we take care of those folks, and so absolutely. And people with ruptured implants, or people with implants that are too large, that kind of thing, or people who have liposuction and have, little divots and stuff because they had, too much liposuction, that kind of thing. Yeah, we definitely see that in plastic.
Betsy, I know you wanted to say something. You had a question for Dr. Andrews.
Well, I just wonder, is butt implants your biggest thing right now?
You know what? That's interesting you say that. Yes. So year over year, for a number of years, but we call it buttock reshaping, really. So
wait, you said that really fast, Khalil. Said butter what?
Buttock reshaping. Buttock reshaping.
Butter or butter?
Buttock. B-U-T-T-O-C-K. Buttock.
Oh, buttocks.
Butt reshaping. And so absolutely, BBL, right, is sort of the catchphrase, right? Brazilian butt lift. And that phrase was something used early on, by Tony Griffin. And actually, Tony Griffin's a black plastic surgeon in Southern California. He was on Extreme Makeover, but basically coined that phrase. But yes, it is exactly, there you go. It is a very popular procedure. And again, Betsy, the key thing to understand about that procedure, it is more of a reshaping procedure, more so than trying to give somebody a shelf. And so even women who don't necessarily want a huge bottom, almost all women would appreciate a narrow waist. And so what we're trying to produce for those patients is a waist to hip ratio of 0.7. So having a narrow waist and having curves, right?
Yeah.
And that makes a woman look sexy. So again, there are some women who want projection, and those women, you do fat grafting. You actually inject fat. We're not using implants as much anymore. Some people are doing implants and fat together, but the implants can be problematic. And I think that's what you're referring to. So certainly, implants can come through the wound and you can get exposure or infections or displacement, that sort of thing. We're not seeing that as much anymore because most people are using fat now. But again, 70% of the result from a buttock reshaping procedure or BBL is what we remove, not what we add.
So what I'm under the impression of, Khalil, is when you need fat, you're taking the fat from that patient. It's not like you got fat on deck, right? You don't have like, maybe 2 extra cups of fat, please. Yeah, 2 more ounces of fat. Yeah,
that's right.
Let me get back fat, not booty fat, back fat. Yeah, okay, thank you. Like, how does that? It's the fat from the patient.
It's from the patient, yes, indeed. And so you actually have to have fat to do the procedure. And so we inject fat into the face, we inject it into breasts, we inject it into the bottom. Those are the most common locations to inject fat. So it is a transplant. You are moving the patient's own fat from one.
But let me ask you this. What if you're real skinny and you're not fat and you need some fat for the procedure? You can't go be like, let me get some of that.
Yeah, you're not a candidate.
What'd you say?
You're not a candidate for the procedure. Some plastic surgeons will have their patients gain weight. If you can believe that on the Big Mac diet. And
That's what eat a pizza. Right. Eat a pizza every night. Eat a pizza.
Correct.
If you want a big butt, eat a pizza.
Exactly. What were you going to say, Sad?
No, go ahead.
Sad, you had a question.
No, I was gonna say, Dr. Andrews. So what's going on with the procedure and the advancements? Because we're seeing a problem with the hip to ass to waist ratio. I know you mentioned earlier the 0.7% ratio.
Yeah.
But it's seeming like the girls with the fake butts, it's like something with the hips going on where you can almost like notice that it's a fake butt. It's like you can't really reshape the hip bones. So is there anything coming down the line to like kind of?
That's an important point. Some of it is technique, though, Seth. Some of it is technique. Some of them, the patients aren't really cleaned out in the hip, area. It depends on what you call the hip, but the hip that we call the hip is right below the waist, and you really have to clean out that area to really get that hourglass. And sometimes, if the procedure is not done correctly, you really don't have the great shape. And sometimes Khalil, I've seen some chicks with shapes. I'm not gonna lie, it's like they were like eggs with legs. It's like an oval shape, and it feels like there's so much, like there's only so much you could do without having to mess with bone structure. So a lot of times,
part of it messing with bone structure, doctor, because isn't it from the where the bottom, like okay, if you're naturally like I have a tiny waist and I'm like this, but I have a tiny little Muppet butt, okay?
Muppet butt.
If you
I've never heard that before. That's so PG for the children. Hey, little Muppet butt.
Yeah. We're going to show some before and afters of Betsy here coming up here soon, folks. Stay tuned.
Finish what you were saying, Betsy, about your Muppet butt.
You know how like from the hip to like the thigh.
Why don't you just show him? Show him. No, I'm joking.
No, I can, but
I'm joking.
So from the hip to the thigh, don't they put a lot of fat there? So from the hip bone to the thigh, it goes out like perfect.
And that's called the C point. So there was a plastic surgeon named Constantino Mendieta who basically wrote the textbook. He's in Miami, and that's the C point. That's the point of maximum projection. That's exactly right. And so we really want most women, even here in Iowa, white women who have the procedure, they're not necessarily looking for the big bubble butt that, or the big shelf, but almost all of them could benefit from placement of fat at that lateral part of the upper part of the buttock. And we call that the C point. That's exactly right.
that pull up the picture of Nicki Minaj. So
Yeah.
you guys, no, because that is the most important part. That's what every girl wants.
That's what gives him the curves. Exactly.
Well, I'm happy you brought that up. Because with that being said, now's the fun part of the show. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the first time to be done in podcast history. We're going to kind of do a play-by-play. We're going to show you, before you do it, Raul, let me just set this up. We're going to do some before and afters, right? And when you look at the before, Dr. Andrews, I want you to tell us, okay, here she was before, here she was after, here's what she got done. Because everybody sees, let's start with Kylie Jenner, Raul. Let's start with Kylie Jenner and give us a little play-by-play. What did she do? Because people don't really know. You're a doctor, so I'm pretty sure you can look, and you're a plastic surgeon, and you know exactly what she did.
Sure. I mean, I have a good sense. Yeah.
Okay, Raul. Let's leave it there. On the left, she looks like a little Persian ballerina, and, and on the right, she looks like a Playboy model. So explain that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the first thing is that you can see that light reflex on her cheek, right on her left cheek, that light reflex. That means that she had filler injected into that area. And that's very important now for giving a woman, we call it the inverted cone of beauty. So you can take even a woman who has a chubby face, and if you fill their cheeks and you can create an inverted cone, it makes them look more attractive. And so that's a very important area now for treatment. And companies, Allergan and other companies have developed these injectables, hyaluronic acid, Radiesse, different things to inject into that area to give fullness to the cheek, because having fullness in the cheek is a sign of beauty and a sign of youth, right? So she has had cheek filler almost 100%, and you can see that light reflex there.
Okay, Raul, real quick, before you switch, I got to ask about these lips. Her original lips right there, let's just say those are her 2011 lips, okay? Yeah. And this right here, the right picture, is her 2020 lips. Is that one of those things where you take the fat, or that has nothing to do with fat with the lips?
No, she probably did not have fat. She definitely had lip augmentation, 100%. And whoever did it did a really good job, because the lower lip should be a little bit larger than the upper lip, and they maintain that aesthetic. And so she doesn't have those duck lips. So whoever did it did a really nice job. The other thing, she had a rhinoplasty. There's no doubt about it. Her dorsum, the part of her nose that goes from between her eyes down to her tip, she's definitely had, that thinned out and very natural look. It definitely made her look more attractive.
So my question to you is, since they're so-called known as billionaires and they have so much money, how much off the top of your head, just looking at Kylie, because right after Kylie, Raul, we're going to go to her sister, Chloe. What would you say that is? What's that package right there? How much was that?
Certainly her rhinoplasty probably cost her $15,000, $20,000, depending on who did it. Filler is more of a commodity business, because all sorts of people are doing filler. So the cheek filler, usually about $750 to $1,000 per syringe, and she probably had a couple of syringes per cheek, and then usually about a syringe or maybe a 1.5 syringes to her lips. But the big and she also looks like she had her eyelashes done, because most people don't have eyelashes, even on her pre-op. Most people don't have eyelashes that are that pronounced. But certainly the big ticket item was a rhinoplasty.
Okay, so go to the next one, please, Raul. And now we have Chloe, right there. You had to go right. Okay.
Yep.
No. Go further down. Go further down real quick. One more down. Right there. Okay. Explain this, because this. No. Raul. There you go.
Yeah.
That is a completely different human being.
Complete overview. Yep.
I mean, explain this.
I think the biggest thing for her is that you can see that inverted cone, right? You can see how she has more definition in her jawline. And that's just from either she had liposuction or just standard weight loss. So some of it she did on her own. No,
I was about to say, because Chloe was definitely the chunky one, and she was a little overweight. So I was wondering, is it a mixture of, like, do you have to break her jaw to do this kind of work, or?
Nope. Typically that's just from weight loss. and potentially liposuction. So she, like I say, the thing that really helped her was her rhinoplasty. So you can see much more definition of her tip, right? And the dorsum, again, the part from between the eyes down to the tip. The rhinoplasty helped her, a ton. She probably had some microblading to her eyebrows.
Okay, what is microblading? I've never heard of that.
So microblading is basically a tattoo technique where it uses a very thin blade to etch in the ink, right? And so she probably had to thicken. Yes, exactly. Yep. So she probably had that procedure. Of course, eyelashes was easy. She already had fairly nice cheek fullness, but it looks to me like she had some enhancement to make it wider. Like I say, if you have a wide mid face and a narrow jawline, you look more attractive.
Okay, go to the next one, Raul. Go to the next one, and you guys feel free to ask questions while we're going. But I'm just seeing these things as I go. Go to Kim, the queen of them all. Okay, no, that's Chloe again.
Yep.
Raul, it's right there. Okay. Now, what did Kim do? Since she was first and she's the biggest, it almost looked like she went from damn near a light-skinned black chick to a Middle Eastern looking woman. Like it just, what did she do?
For sure. Well, I mean, again, her jawline is more defined, where, it looks like, laterally they enhanced an area right at her mandibular angle, right? And so that actually makes her, changes her look, but makes her look, more attractive, more angular. You know what I mean? And so
let me ask you a question. Khalil. When you're doing a surgery, do people kind of tell you up front, here's what I want to look like? Or once they are sedated and you're doing your work, it is what it is and it's going to be what it's going to be when it's all over? Like, is there ever a situation where somebody goes, I want to look like this, but then when it's done, motherfucker, I said I wanted to look like Michelle Pfeiffer, not Jada Pinkett. Like, dude.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and that's a big point, and that gets to your earlier question about what's achievable. Because what I tell patients is, we can make you the best version of you, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not starting with clay. If we were starting with clay, we could mold, them into something. So you have somebody come in and say, "Hey, I want Jennifer Aniston's nose." I had a woman who came in, getting to your earlier point, who said it was a woman from an Eastern.
Raul, go back. Sorry, Khalil. Raul, go back to Khalil so we can talk. Okay.
Yeah. So a woman from an Eastern Bloc country who really liked Beyonce's nose, right?
Okay.
And so she wanted Beyonce's nose. You know what I mean? And that's not achievable. You can't take off someone's nose and put on something, or like I say, you can reshape the nose that they have. So if you go back to that picture of
Kim Kardashian.
Of Kim, yep. Yeah. You can see that she definitely, her nose has been refined. There's no doubt about it. You can see
it almost looks, Khalil, when I look at this picture, right?
Yep.
It almost looks like, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, her nose originally was long and kind of a beak shape. It almost looks like her nose either got turned up or they shortened her nose. Do you pull their eyes closer to their nose? Like, what do you do?
So absolutely. Well, I mean, of course, she's looking down. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And the angle is different, and so that looks a little bit more pronounced. But yes, one of the things that it looks like she did, there's something called an alar cinch stitch, where you can make the alar basis. So the ala are these structures here, and it looks like she had that pulled in to narrow, and that's actually something that a lot of African Americans come in and want, right?
Oh, their noses are big, so they want less of a nose.
Correct.
Oh, wide, right.
Most people that come in for rhinoplasty want a smaller nose. It's rare that someone comes in and says they want their nose bigger. Those are Asians, typically do dorsal augmentation when they have kind of a scooped out nose. But yes, it looks like Kim had that narrowing that a lot of African Americans want.
So that's a very interesting topic that you brought up. So you deal with different nationalities.
Exactly.
So you're dealing with a different set. So we all know, I'm not even trying to be funny, white women come in, they want an ass, they want lips, because that's not what they naturally have. You get a black woman to come in, my nose looks like KRS-One's nose. It's like it's as big as my face. I want this bitch chopped down. Then you get women that their tits are too big, and then they want them chopped. You deal with like Asian women. Like, what's one of the number one things an Asian woman would want?
Asian, I mean, they're like everyone else. I mean, it depends on the age, right? So a lot of filler is very big. Filler, Botox is very big.
No matter what nationality.
Yeah, but they do a lot of dorsal augmentation to their nose. So in Asian countries, they use materials we call them alloplastic materials to really enhance the bridge of their nose because a lot of them don't. A lot of them have that, kind of scooped out area there.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, double eyelid surgery, right? To give them, they had.
Did you say double eyelid?
Oh yeah, I know
double
that.
eyelid surgery. Yeah,
Explain that. Explain that to the people that have no clue.
They don't have an eyelid crease, right? So you need to.
I don't know what you mean. You got to tell me.
Yeah. So
I have a friend. I have an Asian friend who had that.
Yeah,
double eyelid surgery.
Yeah. So most people, in Western, countries have a crease, right, in their eye, right? See that crease there, right?
Right.
Asians do not have that crease, and so we call it double eyelid surgery to get them a crease so that they don't look as ethnic, right? Interesting you say that, right? There was a plastic surgeon that a guy named Val Lambros who does these morphing studies. And one of the things, and this was based on something that he saw that was done at the turn of the century, there was an artist who took images of many different people of different ethnicities, right? And he morphed those, right? And did kind of like, drew them out, right? And what he found was you could take people from different ethnicities and different levels of beauty, as we call it. And when you morph all of their pictures together, you develop, you guys should Google this, but you'll see a more attractive person, right?
Yeah.
And essentially, everyone's trying to go towards the norm, right? And we call it the beautiful normal, right? And it's very interesting. So you say, the African American woman wants, sort of a westernized nose, and then, some white women want lips.
Right.
There is an aesthetic that we as human beings see as attractive. Right?
You brought something up that's very interesting though, and I'm not trying to be funny and I'm not trying to be racist when I say this, but when you said the Asian people don't have that crease in their eyelids, so is there ever Asian people like, since they're used to being like this, right? Yeah. Do they ever want the doctor to be like, doctor, can you make my eyes open more? So now they're like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of what.
Instead of, I don't want to look Asian no more. I want to look surprised American.
That procedure does exactly. It does lift the eye, and we call that the palpebral fissure. So the different distance between each eyelid. So yes, opening that up will make them, and like I say, move them towards that aesthetic, that norm, right? That we're used to seeing. So yes,
Raul,
doctor.
You go say it. You go.
So seeing that it's a lot of emotions built behind this, is there any type of psychological evaluation that you put them through pre and post surgery as a part of?
That's an extremely important point because it goes towards satisfaction, right? Because it's called body dysmorphic syndrome, right? Where patients, obsess over something very small, right? And it was first described in men, right, with rhinoplasty, and they would come in and say, "Don't you see that? You see how my nose is, wider here, and it's things that you really can't see." And they, they put undue, they have undue stress, related to that. So yes, we do see body dysmorphic patients, and getting to Alex again, his earlier question. Sometimes we have to say, hey, no, I don't see that. And typically say, hey, the best way to get out of that situation is to say, hey, I'm not good enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
What you're looking for.
Khalil, you know what it almost is like saying, even though you're a doctor, you almost in some sense are like a psychologist also, because you're dealing with people's insecurities when they walk in there. Because to me, in my mind, and you tell me if I'm wrong or right, you got to be kind of insecure when you walk in your office and go, I don't like me. I want change me.
Right. Because there are a lot of people that look in the mirror and say, oh, I wish this were better, wish they were better. But the ones that I see, the ones that are willing to undergo surgery that has risks, right? And to pay their money, right? It's definitely, yes, there are issues. Now, again, if you can believe this, Alex, you see my hair? I had a hair transplant, right? I bought a hair transplant device, and I was our second demo patient, right? And so, yes, I was losing my hair. Did I want it to look better? Absolutely, I wanted it to look better, and I had the procedure done. And I don't see anything wrong with that necessarily. Right. And that's the business that I'm in. But again, we have to have patience with realistic expectations, right? We see, you can believe this, a lot of when people break up or divorces, we see that not infrequently.
Oh,
People
yeah.
get bigger implants, or I want to have a tummy tuck.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to show him, like, you left me, watch me become Beyonce, bitch. Watch. Watch.
But you should have became Beyonce when you were with him.
Right. Exactly. Exactly,
No,
Betsy.
is exactly right. It's like you need to be your best self the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's that's what we would hope for our spouse, that you want to keep yourself, in shape, looking good with the person.
Can you please real quick, Raul? Okay, yeah, say what you're going to say, Betsy.
For the sake of me, what I would give if you could just give me Botox over Zoom.
Over Zoom.
And that was the problem during the pandemic, is that we couldn't even do Botox. You know
No,
what I mean? And
look at me.
yeah.
I look like I'm 100.
Okay, can I ask a quick regular guy question? Because I hear that word a lot, Betsy and Dr. Andrews. What is the difference between Botox and filler? Or are they the same thing?
Yeah, they're different. Yeah, so filler is something that plumps up tissue, like the lips and the cheeks and the folds, the nasolabial folds. Botox is a neuromodulator. It actually weakens muscle. And so, the muscles that we have, this muscle called the corrugator muscle, that gives you the 11s, or the horizontal forehead line, So we have to paralyze the muscle. And so we use.
So that's what it's like freezing. Botox is freezing.
Yes.
And kind of deaden the muscle, yes, and weaken the muscle. That's the goal.
Well, Raul, can you please go to Cardi B real quick? Because the big thing about her is this: people are like, did she do plastic surgery or did she not? I mean, we know she talks about it in her song, "Got Me a Bag, Fix My Teeth." I'm not mad at anybody for, hey, you're a millionaire now. 6 months ago, you were a stripper with bad teeth. Now you got millions. Why not? Like you said, Khalil, hey, man, I'm all for somebody bettering themselves. But look at this picture. Raul, bring up the Cardi B, the face shot. Okay, that's one of them. But it's more one with her face, Raul. You'll see a couple of pictures. But it's good for Dr. Khalil to see these because this is leading to what I'm about. Oh, no. What? Up. Right there. Yep. So that's the stripper Cardi B. This is the rapper / stripper, Cardi B.
Yeah. No, hey, more power to her. And absolutely, when you have money, you definitely can be the best version of yourself. And like I say, if you can do it, absolutely do it. And so yes, it looks like she had caps. It looks like she had some nasal reshaping as well. You can see that reflex on her cheek. You can definitely see that she had some filler in her cheek.
Because makeup can only, Khalil, if I'm right, makeup can only do so much. Like, so as a regular dude, I look at some things sometimes and I go, well, is it the makeup? Where you as a doctor, you go, no, that was a procedure.
Right. And that's to give people high cheekbones, you put the rouge on there, to make it look like they have, high cheekbones, or like they're casting a shadow there. Absolutely. That there are some things you can do with makeup, but certainly I think in this day and age, it looks to me like she had some filler to her cheeks, a rhinoplasty of certainly caps on her teeth. The key thing about her is I call it the anatomic, sort of lottery, and to win that, to have naturally a narrow waist and waistline, it's like you hit the jackpot, and most people don't have that, right? Most people who have a big bottom, right, also have a big waist, right? So that's a telltale sign that someone probably had a buttock reshaping procedure, because people don't just gain weight in the butt, right? When they
exactly. As much, I hate to say it, but as much as black women will say, "Oh, girl, all them chicken and all that rice and greens, that all go to my booty." Yes and no. Because to me, there's a difference. You know what I've hated for years, and now I'm just getting personal now. I've hated when girls go, "Oh no, I'm thick." No, you're not thick. That's fat. That's thick. There's a difference between thick and fat. Am I right, fellas? Say it. You from Chicago, Houston, Raul. I mean, Savvy. Come on. There's a difference. Like, I hate to say it, but I just got to be real here. A lot of times when I see brothers with white girls, right? And it's a white girl that, we all know when you can tell. I can tell a white girl from across the street, 200 yards away, And I can tell you before she even walks up to me, we can make a bet amongst each other. I bet you she only dates black dudes. How do you know that? Watch this. Excuse me. Can you come here? Me and my buddy have a little wager going on here. Do you only date black guys? Oh my God, how did you know? How the fuck did I know? That big old booty that I see a mile away. Am I right, fellas? Fellas, don't leave me out there.
That's true. It's true.
So what kills me is when I see one that's borderline fat. Yeah. And she goes, "Oh, he just like me because I'm thick." No.
Most of the time, he was a black guy too, because the black guys like the big white.
For sure, yeah. It's a self-selecting bunch. Yes, exactly.
I'm gonna use that one. Yeah.
Say that again, Khalil. Say that again.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean they select out for that big old butt. Yeah, don't doubt.
Right. So okay, so here's something. I'm gonna say a name to you, and I want to see if it rings a bell. Allegra Cole World.
Allegra Cold World.
Allegra. Her real name is Allegra Cole. Before you show the picture, Raul, just got to ask him, is he familiar?
Okay.
Are you familiar, Khalil?
I'm not.
Okay. I figured you knew who she was. I don't know if you use these pictures in your office to say, here's what you do not want to do, but she's known as the chick with the biggest fake breasts in the world. So let them have it, Raul. Roll those tits. I mean clips. The clips.
Right.
Roll. I said roll those tits. Raul.
Happy New Year.
So I didn't know if those were your clients or not, Khalil. Are those your clients?
The twerking one was, exactly. The deal with those is those are much larger than what's available in the United States. So they had to have had those. No, seriously, because the largest implant that we can use in the United States for breast augmentation is 800 cc's. So anybody who has 1,000 cc, 1,200 cc implants usually has gone somewhere else, and typically.
Oh, so she had to go to like Czechoslovakia, or she had to go down to Guatemala. She had to go to Kazakhstan to get those motherfuckers.
There's no doubt, 100%, and the FDA is very serious about that because it basically creates what we call a breast cripple. So their skin gets so stretched out that and the actual breast.
There you go. Is there go back, and leave that there. And let Dr. Andrews talk. So you're telling me she went to Russia to get those bitches, right?
and likely those are saline implants. So it's basically a big water bag. So you see that depression she has on her right breast. Mm-hmm. That's rippling. We call that rippling, and that's probably, and saline implants ripple the most. The other thing about saline implants is when you put them in, you fill them once you put them in. A silicone implant comes pre-filled, and so that's how that you get that overfilled look.
So is it safe to say? I just got to say this: is it safe to say her right boob she got in Mongolia and her left boob Vietnam?
Probably, yeah,
I'm just curious.
I can those were not done in the United States. No way in the world.
Okay, stay right there.
Alex, let me put it to you like this. She basically went to every other country besides the U.S. and had a little bit more filled up in those boobs. Okay?
That's a good comment.
Another cup there.
That's a good one, Betsy. So in other words, Khalil, could she get like a couple of cc's in Mongolia, then get a couple of cc's in France, then get 6 more cc's in Canada? Does it work like that?
CC.
Some CCs in her TTs.
Man.
Yeah.
Doc, you want to know something? Something that I was wondering, Doc. 2 questions really.
Sure.
The first question I had is, when you're dealing with the reshaping of the nose and the eye reshaping, etc.
Yep.
It never looks to seem like there's some sort of a scar.
Yeah.
How do you shave bone or replace bone and there's just the skin is just absolutely perfect afterward?
Yep.
There's no scar.
That's very important. And so we try as plastic surgeons to hide scars. People hate scars, right? And one of the things about the head and neck is that it has a great blood supply. And so when we make incisions on the face, the scars are almost imperceptible. And so to do the nose surgery, we hide the scar inside the nose. So yeah, we do, when we do what's called open rhinoplasty, we do have to make an incision across this part of the nose called the columella, but the other incisions are inside the nose. And so we hide those there. For eyelid surgery, we make the incision right at the lash line. And because that area is the thinnest skin in our body, it doesn't form real thick scars.
And right? And do you go where there's already a crease, correct?
Already a crease or shadowing, right? If there's crease or shadowing, so we hide facelift incisions here or behind the ear, right, to do the neck lift. So yeah, that's a very important point.
We learn a lot. We learn a lot here at the Funny Don't Stop. So Raul, can you do me a favor? Your cursor is right over his face. Can you move that, please? You see your.
Wait, doctor, do
you see it?
No, that's your side.
Do I do what?
Do you do
that's mine? Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I just saw a patient for a facelift today. So a woman.
Oh, y'all saw that? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm listening. Finish what you're saying, Khalil.
A woman today who had a number of facelifts actually in Beverly Hills and moved back to Iowa, and she lived in West LA, or I'm sorry, West Hollywood, for many years, and had some procedures done, numerous procedures. And I saw her today. She's 78, and she's having another facelift, but has had numerous neck lifts and facelifts and eyelid surgery. So yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Okay, go. Yeah, do your question. Here, we say this real quick. Said, do your question, and then right after Said's question, Raul, I want you to go back to Allegra Cole because I got a question about her. But you go first. Go first, Said.
Yeah, we've talked about this on the show some shows back, and then you made me think of it when you was talking about your hair transplant.
Yep.
Do you see a resurgence in that so many men are wearing beards now that there's actually plastic surgery for men to like grow out their beards?
You know, we do. So I have a technology called NeoGraft. So essentially it is the state of the art in hair restoration. So what we do is we take hair follicles from the most stable location for hair follicles on our head, which is in the back, right? Most people, you know, even if they have very significant hair loss, they typically have some in the back. And so we take those hair follicles and move them anywhere. So we actually can put them in the eyebrows. We can do beards. We can do mustaches. Absolutely. Wow. And we can take individual hair follicles. So it doesn't look like that baby doll hair that people had the plugs before, right? Mm-hmm. Individual hair follicles, and that's what makes it look really natural. So you can see, I'll zoom in here. You can see I had my whole hairline basically done. And you know, it's very very natural because we take individual hair follicles and move them. Women, right? We do eyebrows for women, and so absolutely, it's doable. We can do it into scars as well. So there are some people who have some scars on their scalp after prior surgery on their scalp. And we can fill those areas as well. So some of it.
Wait, I just want to reiterate on what you said, and I just want to make it super clear. So, in a nutshell, Said and Dr. Andrews, you're saying that beard implants is something that could be done. There's like it's a new thing. Like you could be a dude that never had a beard, and you walk in that bitch, and you're Rick Ross the next day.
For sure.
So because we grew up together, because we grew up together and you're my boy, I'm still being the Alex Thomas you've always known. Everybody out there that's watching us worldwide, all over the world that are watching the Funny Don't Stop show, you make sure you go to @Dr. Khalil Andrews on Instagram and tell them your website real quick before I say what I'm saying.
DrAndrewsplasticsurgery.com. Yep.
Okay, if you're a smooth-faced motherfucker and you want to look like Rick Ross in less than 24 hours, come on over to Dr. Andrews, okay? Come on. If you don't want to have somebody all up in the videos, looking all smooth, baby-faced and shit, get you a beard. Come on down to Dr. Andrews.
Wake up with a new beard and a Bugatti.
I woke up in a beard Bugatti. I woke up in a beer Bugatti.
I will say, thinking of hair transplantation, a lot of people think LeBron James had one. You know what I mean? You remember he used to wear that headband, and many people think he did. And it looks good. I mean, it looks very natural, and that's
please go back to Allegra.
I noticed. I look at movies from back in the day when these guys were bald, and now they have hair, and I'm like, yeah. But you know what? Honestly, more power to you. If you feel like something has bothered you your whole life and you just want to feel good about it,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Life's too short.
Yeah.
Look, I wish I would have done some shit before the pandemic. Now I'm locked up.
What I'm worried about, we talked about this also this is when we were in the studio. I'm worried about litigation. You had one guy actually sue his ex-wife because he didn't know what she looked like prior, and then when the kids came out, he was wondering, like, whoa, my kids look like, they don't look like me. They don't look like me. These kids are looking crazy.
Exactly.
And he ultimately found the picture of her before she had plastic surgery, and he used that as a grounds to not only divorce her, but to sue her.
To sue her.
Dr. Andrews, have you been hearing anything about instances of that?
No, I haven't. You know, one thing that came up in my practice recently is a woman came in to have some extra procedures because she's getting a divorce, right? And when you get divorced, in terms of determining how much alimony you get, you have to maintain that same lifestyle, right?
Right.
So she got a little bit of extra Botox, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So that when she got a divorce, she could claim that I used to get Botox every 3 months and this kind of thing. So it's really interesting there. Yeah.
Has anybody ever wanted? Has anybody ever wanted something weird like an extra titty?
Could I get 2 nipples on one titty, Dr. Andrews? Because they said I had to go to Mongolia to get two nipples on one titty. But can you do that in an hour?
We get some really weird inquiries from our website, and we got one recently. Guy. Now, I wouldn't call it necessarily weird, but we do transgender surgery, absolutely. And
you do that?
Wait, can you do that, Khalil?
Yeah, I do that. Yeah.
Okay, stop. Stop.
We call it top surgery, not bottom surgery. Top surgery, right?
So if I wanted, let's just be real. We're all family here, and I could say this, and I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
If I told you, why are you laughing already?
You want a vagina.
I do. I want a coochie. Could you? But I want the coochie on the side. You understand me? On the side. I want to both. Like, I want to keep my nuts. Like, how does a dude tell you that with a straight face? But doctor, what I want to do is, I want to keep my balls, right? So I'm gonna keep my balls, and then right next to my ball, I was thinking about putting a coochie between my balls. Is that possible? And how much would that cost? How much would I need to attain to get a clit and a dick at the same goddamn time is what I'm trying to find out. What would you say to me? And is that possible? Plumbing wise?
It actually isn't possible. That surgery to make a vagina is actually really dialed in. It is a great procedure, and they do a nice job. As a matter of fact, they keep the glands, right? And they make a clitoris out of the glands.
Actually, you feel the same.
And they keep it exactly. They
stop. Back up. You're saying a man. Wait, I gotta make sure I get it in my head before you start saying. So did you just say a man that wants the women stuff, or a woman that wants to become a man? Just so I start there. What are we saying?
So basically, if a man wants to become a woman, right, kind of like that gender situation, right, then basically they take the skin of the penis and they make that the vagina, right? They invert that, right? Right. They take the glands, right? So they take, the real sensitive head, basically, and they can make that the clitoris, right? And they use the scrotum. They basically take the testicles out and use the scrotum for the labia, right? Because that's where the labia. That's the analogous structure to the labia is the scrotum, right? So if you look at some pictures. Amazing. I mean, it's almost.
So you're telling me you can totally take a penis and turn it into a vagina, and it work?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
And they can have an orgasm. That is exactly right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's when you change your name to Dr. Jesus Andrews, because that's incredible.
So but that's not a procedure. The people who do those procedures, that basically is the only procedure that they do. I mean, it's very expensive, like $50,000.
I'm about to say, how much are new coochies running nowadays? Like, what's a new coochie on the market?
Now, I will say, in certain states do pay for it, but so there's a distinction between what we call top surgery and bottom surgery, right? Bottom surgery, you have to go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist, right? And you basically have to take the hormones and live like that, opposite gender for at least a year. And as a matter of fact, the plastic surgeons will not do the procedure if it has not been signed off by a psychiatrist or a psychologist who specifically sees transgender patients, not just gay and lesbian patients, but transgender patients is really.
But you touched on something first, but you didn't finish. And I'm just really trying to get this in my head. Are you saying a coochie's different in San Diego than it costs in New York? Like if you get your coochie, a new coochie in Brooklyn, is it going to be a different price than it is in Tacoma, Washington?
Because in some states, yes, sir, some states insurance pays for it. Right, Oregon, right?
But even if you're in jail, doesn't the government, like our taxes, pay for you to have transgender surgery?
I have heard of some of that happening. Yes,
but let's just be honest, Betsy. I don't think if you were in jail for murder or killing somebody, they're not giving you the luxury. Look, I know I killed 10 people, but I always wanted a coochie. So you're telling me?
I'm telling you,
Wait. But he said how much? How much did you say a brand new coochie is in 2021, Dr. Andrews? Just give me a price.
$50,000 to $75,000.
Okay. Let's just take that. Let's take a middle number. $65,000. Betsy, you're saying that you could be locked up for murder, and if you put in a request as a man that you want to become a woman, they'll do that procedure.
Yep.
How and why? Somebody needs to explain to me that luxury.
There's money because it's a psychological thing. Sure. And my friend sent me the article of a guy, and I believe they killed an older couple. And he said he just always had problems. He's in jail and he's rehabilitated now that he was able to become a woman, because that's what was causing him the problems that made him kill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But where would the funding? Who agrees that look, they won't let this guy go out for an extra coffee cake, but they're gonna give him $65,000 for a new pussy? Like, how's that? Who gives the green light to go? You know what? Give C29827. Give C29827. You know what? Just gonna bless him with a new coochie.
I think
it's on the house.
Louis Stewart says, "Go ahead on."
That's crazy.
So again, to go the other direction, so to go from a vagina to a penis, much more difficult. It's hard. One of the biggest things is urinating through a structure that was never meant to, for urine to pass through.
So it's like learning all over again, correct?
It's not just that, it's the anatomy. So they actually have conversations with the transgender males to say, where do you want your urine to come out? So is it more important for you to stand? So I remember I went to one meeting where one of the plastic surgeons talked to a guy, and really what he wanted was he was a police officer, and he wanted to be able to stand at the urinal with the other cops, right? And so you develop a procedure to allow
that angle. So when you gave the cop the new ding-a-ling, he wants to be able to stand there and it shoot out. Versus he's so used to sitting. Well, when he was a woman, sitting down and the urine going down versus shooting out.
There are anatomical trade-offs to each procedure. So if you're okay sitting, then you can have other types of benefits. But it's very difficult to go the other direction.
That is super expensive.
I have a question that I always wanted to know.
Okay.
If you are a man and you transition to a woman and you get a vagina, I mean, do you get yeast infections?
Does the yeast infection stop forever? No more biscuits. No more biscuits in your drawers when you.
So typically not. But I mean, of course, it can happen. Anywhere. Men get yeast infections as well. But yeast infections has a lot to do with what a woman's. We call it the natural flora, right? So having those microorganisms in that area, and then in certain situations they overgrow. So we call it an opportunistic infection. So sometimes when women are on antibiotics, they'll get yeast infection, that kind of thing. And we call those opportunistic infections, where there's no more competition for resources, and the fungus can actually overgrow.
It's because
I'm loving the vernacular. I'm loving all of the dictionary words too, by the way.
Oh, he's so smart. It's not even funny. He's always been that. Sabby, I see a question all over your face, brother.
I'm gonna go back and watch this show and write all these words down.
That's funny. I learned from you guys as well. No, it's no doubt.
Yeah.
Sabby, what's your question?
No, I was just trying to wonder, when they take you through these psychological when they have to speak to you before you get the procedure done. Is this because the procedure is not reversible?
Exactly, 100%. Top surgery is reversible, right? You put implants in, man doesn't want you to take them out, right? Even if you do a woman who wants to become a man, and you do a mastectomy and that kind of thing, you can always put implants back in, right?
Right.
But doing any bottom surgery is essentially irreversible, and absolutely they want to make sure that this is not a whim. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely.
Right. No, you got to like really have your head made up. You can't be like, it's Christmas and next year you be like, you know what? I'm so sick of this dick. Can I go back to getting a coochie? Like, sorry, buddy. All you wanted for Christmas last year was a new dick, and that's all we could do. Nobody.
Right.
But according to you, Dr. Andrews, you can go to Mongolia and get you a new penis.
You might be able to do that.
But if you do the black market ding-a-ling, right, won't they just do anything? I mean, honestly, let's just be real now. I know it sounds like I'm being funny, but if I go to a doctor like you that is going by the book and you're telling us what you can and can't do, all that you just told us, there's no reversing it. But I'm one of those dudes who like, look here, I got my dick done in Texas in '89. Okay,
right.
It is now 2021, and I'm sick of this shit. I mean, I'm sick of this dick. Right. I think my boy was telling me I can go down to Taiwan and get me a coochie. I think in Taiwan, for the money, they don't care, and they're going to try to give you a new dick. They don't care about your past. Am I right or wrong? I mean, isn't that the whole purpose of the black market?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of that stuff happens, Alex, for sure. But in the United States, we definitely have some standards, and for sure to have that surgery, Savvy, to your point, absolutely, it is typically an irreversible procedure. And we want patients to absolutely know.
Like I can imagine, Khalil, you being a doctor in Vietnam somewhere, and you pull down your pants, right? Let's see the situation. And you look, you'd be like, God damn, dog, how many dicks have you had?
No.
Dude, what number balls are you on? You look like, judging by this last botched surgery job, you don't have 2 clits and 4 dicks. Like, you got to make up your mind. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Thanks for the laughter, Savvy. Everybody else being all quiet like that shit ain't funny. But y'all just sitting there like that shit's not. Like, I'm making up scenarios off of things this real doctor is telling us.
It's important, and like Betsy, and Savvy suggests. I mean, emotionally, these are tough decisions that folks make.
Yeah,
for sure. Right. And people, are really. Emotionally, affected by, these feelings of, we call it gender dysmorphia. You know what I mean? It'd be tough to live like that. Really
it's tough. Yeah.
I got a question.
I actually find it. I think it is such an incredible thing that people like you in the world can change someone's life by doing. Just even if you're doing the top part, because it's such a sad way to live when you feel like you're not who you're meant to be. You know what I mean?
True.
And it's nothing that we can understand, because we live like that, So it's hard to pass judgment on somebody who, is struggling with that, and we all struggle with things.
I got to finish what you're gonna say, Khalil.
Interesting thing. So there are staff that I have worked with who have told me that if I'm doing one of those surgeries, right, again, I only do top surgery, but if I'm doing one of those, they don't want to do the procedure, right? And most of them are Christians, right? And hey, I don't begrudge them for it, and you can have whatever views you want. I'm a Christian myself. But again, what they're saying is that your sin, right, is worse than my sin. Right.
And that's not fair.
And what Jesus said, right, is that we're all sinners, right?
Yeah.
And we're saved by grace. You know what I mean? And so I'll ask them, I'll say, hey, so basically you think what they're doing is sinful, right? But, essentially, you're passing judgment on their sin, and where do you draw the line, right? If I have a transgender person that comes in and just got stabbed, right? And they come into a trauma, are you not going to care for them in that scenario? You know what I mean?
Right.
It becomes a slippery slope. And, like I said, I'm a Christian, and,
do you almost have to, let me ask you something. Do you almost have to leave your morals out of it when you have to do your job as a surgeon?
Well, as a surgeon, you take care of all comers. I mean, it's just like those classic situations where, those African-American surgeons would take care of Klansmen. You know what I mean? And they did, and that, hey,
They're just doing their jobs.
Absolutely.
I got a question real quick. I need you to go back to Allegra Cole with the gigantic thing, because there's a question I got, man, that I've always wanted to know. And it might be the simplest question, because you brought it up as CCs. As men, we don't ever call tits CCs. God damn, she got some nice tits. What are they? 22 CCs? We don't go, damn, what's she, 400 CCs?
Right.
Raul. So my question is, I always thought it was letters, right? So I always double D, double G. When I saw those, I was like, what's that, a double W? Was that a double U's?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's something down there. I mean, they're definitely G cup, F cup bras. Yeah. So
that's what I'm wondering. How do you come up with those letters, Dr. Andrews? Flip another picture, Raul.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, she probably has X's or Z's, but typically women do talk, and the unfortunate thing though is that we do have a lot of women that come in and say, hey, I'm a B cup and I want to be a D cup. Unfortunately, and Betsy can comment on this, it depends on the bra manufacturer. You know what I mean? You might be, a small C in one or a D in another one. And so
keep that picture up.
That's why we talk CCs, because that's objective, right? That's a volume,
Okay, so, question I have, because I went on when I found out about this chick, keep it there, Raul, and I found out her Instagram this week, and I looked. I noticed, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I could tell she got one basketball and one goddamn soccer ball. Like, it's like one's bigger, her left is that a bad job, or is she just okay with that? At first I'm thinking maybe her bra wasn't adjusted, but now I'm thinking about it like, no, that.
The weird thing about saline implants is that, like I said, you put them in deflated, and they have this little valve, and the valve has to pop into the little hole, right? Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't happen, if that comes out, fluid can leak out. So I have seen situations, women who have saline implants, one is bigger than the other because some of the fluid has leaked out of that area.
Now, when they get that big, Dr. Andrews, I've always wanted to know, do they lose sensitivity? Or do they still work the same? I mean, or is it heightened?
We do see that. We see sometimes hypersensitivity. So a person has baseline sensation. Sometimes you get hypersensitivity, but that typically gets better. Sometimes it does dip down and it never comes back. I had a nurse who that happened to. I put implants in her and she lost sensation of her nipples. And for some people, that's a big deal. Other people don't really care, but for some people, it's a huge deal.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of friends who lost sensation.
Why? Why, Betsy?
From breast implants. A lot of people lose sensation.
Yeah, it depends on, where the physician made the incision. So typically the sensation comes from what we call the fourth intercostal nerve. And so if that is affected, I have had one patient, this is kind of an interesting thing. I had one patient who I was talking to about a breast procedure, and she said, well, is there any chance that the sensitivity to my nipple can be affected? And I said, yes. And she said, oh, no, I don't want to have it, because this is what she told me.
Hold on, before you say it, Raul, please do that one shot on Dr. Andrews, please, so we can see him say this, because you got him on the okay, Dr. Andrews. All right, what did she say to you?
She told me that she had nipple orgasms. Yeah, and
I've heard of that before.
Yes, indeed. And then it's so funny because when she told me that, I had a patient the very next week. And I said, yeah, I had a patient last week who told me that she didn't want the breast surgery because it could affect her nipple sensation and she has nipple orgasms. And the woman looked at me and she said, I do too. And I said, wow. Yes, indeed. Yes,
you know what I thought you were going to say?
Is that something you ask in the bio form now?
Not
you have put that in the application now so you can make sure that,
I was about to say.
That question needs to be in there. Yeah. I never even heard of that.
What, nipple orgasms? No. Like, I've heard of girls, I've had a few in my past that really enjoyed it, but I can't say had an actual orgasm. What I was gonna ask you, Dr. Andrews, is has a chick ever come in there and because her friend got nipple orgasm, they come in there, Dr. Andrews, can you make my nipples be extra sensitive so I can have nipple orgasms?
Yeah, no, it hasn't.
There's nothing you can do with that. There's no big word for that. That's called nipple liturgis, right? And what nipple liturgis does, there's no way to do that.
Yeah, I had a patient one time who, so when we do a tummy tuck, right? There's an area called the mons, right? And people have heard that phrase, the fupa.
What is it? What is a mons?
Yeah, he's saying that like we all went to med school. You guys know what
the mons is, right?
You know the mons, right?
So the mons pubis is the area above the pubic bone, right? Yeah. Right above the.
Oh, where they do C-sections.
Correct. Well, just a little bit lower than that. So just right above the vagina, right?
Okay.
That little puffy area that some women have, and again, some people call it the fupa, right? And so when you have, weight gain and weight loss or pregnancy and that kind of thing, that area, the vagina, that it can kind of tend to sag down. And one of the things that happens when we do a tummy tuck is that it lifts that area and makes it look more youthful, right? So I had this African American woman one time who her sister had a tummy tuck, and it made that area look better. And so without saying the woman's last name, so the woman's name, she was African American, so her name was Lolita, right?
Lolita,
right?
Okay, so that tells us she's at least 49. Because ain't no 20-year-old Lolitas.
Yeah, and so her sister said, Lolita Muff. She said, I want my muff to look like Lolita Muff. But again, the nice thing about that procedure is that it does make that muff look better. And so that's why I have women that come to see me specifically for that, because they don't like the way that area looks, and they want to be the best image.
They want it to be pretty, or what they see in magazines. And
as a matter of fact, labiaplasty is very common right now. As a matter of fact, it's extremely common, and it can be really life-changing for a lot of women, because a lot of women have pain, with intercourse, and some women say that they have issues with hygiene, that kind of thing. So it's an increasingly important, and it's growing in our practice.
I am so happy you brought that up, because Brother Raul told me one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. And I said, if you don't tell Dr. Andrews that story, you are no longer going to be my friend. And it happened to be off of what you just said. Raul, put the camera on yourself and tell Dr. Andrews what you told me this morning.
About the story, I was doing a documentary on a plastic surgeon who actually does a lot of vaginas. He was pretty big in the porn business.
Oh, he's big in vaginas. Okay.
Yeah, and I asked him what was the craziest thing he's ever kind of come across, and he was telling me this story about this lady that basically came in, and basically she had peanut butter on herself and had the dog licking it, but the dog ended up biting the lip off. So she walked into his office with the lip in her hand, talking about, can you put this back on?
Can you put my coochie back together, doctor? Because little Fido bit my lip off.
I don't even know if I believe this. I do not
Betsy, you can't make shit up like that, Betsy.
Come on, you guys.
Do you think Betsy? Do you think Raul made that story up?
I have no reason to lie to you. I mean, it was coming from a doctor himself. He wrote a book called "Kiss the Lips." But
that'd be tough for that to live. But there are definitely stories of that. So penises and that kind of thing. Let me close this door. Hold on one second.
You're telling me somebody had their vagina lip bitten off
because she put peanut butter on her clit, so the dog could be down there licking, and that's what the fuck she got when the dog realized. What'd you say? What'd you say, Betsy?
Did she have a pit bull?
Well, all dogs have teeth. It ain't gotta be a pit bull. It could be.
Humans have teeth too. You think you could bite a vagina lip off?
Well, I've never bit one off. I've teethed on them before.
Mike Tyson bit an earlobe off.
Yeah. So. Well, if you got big lips, you can tug on them. You know what I mean?
Okay, but Mike Tyson's like a pit bull, Raul. Mike Tyson is like a pit bull.
Right.
But that's cartilage, though.
That's cartilage, correct, Dr. Andrews?
So, said absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Said that absolutely is there's definitely cartilage in the ear. You'd be surprised. Like I said, the head and neck has great blood supply. I remember when I was in residency, and there was a woman who had a bike accident, and her nose looked really. It basically was kind of torn off her face. We sewed it back on. New blood vessels grew into it. Now it was a disfigured nose, but she had a nose. Same thing with the ear. You can avulse the ear, The ear is amazing. You sew it back on. It can be held by just a little small attachment. You sew it back on. New blood vessels grow into it, and it's almost like doing it.
So in other words, what you're telling us, Dr. Andrews, you could lose your coochie, but if you get it put on right by the right doctor, it could be as good as new.
That's a tough one, just because of the dog. You know what I mean? Just the bacteria and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. It could be
and then next thing you know, your dog is used to coochie lips. Now, when you give him, Iams, or you go to Petco, and then I don't want that. Like now, he wants peanut butter coochie. That's all he wants. That becomes his diet. You've been feeding me peanut butter coochie for as long as I've been alive, and I'm 7.
Okay, now wait.
That's all I want.
Why did a doctor have to report that this woman said a dog was licking her vagina? Because this is dog abuse.
Well, how's it abuse? And she's the one that got her lip bitten off. Who's getting abused here?
So another thing that is a phenomenon in emergency departments all over the country are instruments in a male's body. Right?
Brother, I told him a story. I think you told us this. I think you told me a story years ago. I don't know if it was you or I heard this from another trauma surgeon. I believe you told me this, Khalil, and I don't even know if this was when you were in residency. A gay couple came into the emergency room, and they're just sitting there, and the people are like, it's people in there bleeding, people that just got shot, somebody just got in a car accident, and you're looking at them, and you're like, okay, so what's the problem with you guys? And he's kind of want to whisper in your ear. He didn't want to say it out loud. He's like, well, it's kind of embarrassing. We were having fun, and we were wrestling and playing a few different toys, and I don't know, it just kind of went in there. He's like, what went in there? And it was one of those police metal flashlights. I would say damn near a whole foot got lodged into the gay dude's butthole, and he didn't really realize it until he looked at the X-ray, and it just turned out every time the dude farted, the light went on. Oh, yeah. The light cut on and off.
No, this is the wacky thing. This is the wacky thing about that instrumentation is that a lot of those are not gay men that come in. A lot of them come in with their wives
that did some crazy shit.
I remember a general surgeon told me one time, it was the most honest thing. So the general surgeon was called. It was like 3 a.m, and the guy, not gay, right, and he just likes the sensation. And he came in and he said, and the general surgeon said, "Man, why did you come in?" Because apparently it happened like 3 p.m. He said, "Well, why'd you come in?"
Oh, goddamn! Hours later.
He said, well, Doc, if you had this up your bottom, would you have come in the light of day, right, where people could see you? You know what I mean? Yeah. He said, would you have come in at 3 in the morning? I mean, at 3 in the afternoon. And
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was it? You still didn't tell it. What was it? A fire truck? A little toy? What the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
What was up in there? A soccer ball?
It usually is, dildos and that kind of
thing. A dildo or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, then again, it wouldn't even matter what time you come in because no one would know what's in your ass. I mean, it's not like you walk in there and you got a trench coat on and somebody like, he looked like somebody with a dildo up his booty.
But how far up does it go? Because I mean, as a girl, you
can't get it out. I mean, once it gets up there, right, and you start getting spasm of your anus. You can't.
So surgically, because you can't leave the object inside. How did they get the flashlight out? How did they get the
relax the muscles or something like
that?
Yeah, some cold water on them.
You put the person under anesthesia. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And sometimes you can take, a scope and go up there and try to get it out. But sometimes you have to,
like a colonoscopy.
Correct. Yeah.
But you are not telling us that you have to keep it in there, Khalil, right? You're not saying that.
No, sir.
Okay, you don't have to live with a dildo and you don't have to be hooping with your boys like, damn, something is jiggling in my ass. Like, you go jogging and it sounds like it's a fork inside of a pot. You're like,
you won't even be able to properly excrete.
You know what though, Doc? Honestly, my man, I know it has to take an extreme amount of education and professionalism to be able to go through and see a lot of the things you've seen and just remain straight-faced,
For sure.
professional, and take care of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
I mean,
me
and
myself, I wouldn't be able to do it now.
well, no, certainly you see things that kind of make you laugh or but you also see some tough things, and that can be emotional, and you have to stay strong for those people as well. So yes, you have to be even killed as best you can, right? When we're human.
Two last things, Khalil, before I let you go.
Okay.
So my question is, when people come into your office, I've always wanted to know with plastic surgeons, it's kind of like a two-part question. Is there a menu? Do you have specials? Do you have 2-for-1 specials? One clit, one tit, half off. If you get a nose on Thursday, you might be able to get a new ear on Wednesday. Like, what are the packages? You know what I mean?
So yes, we do offer discounts, and some people, there's different schools of thought related to that, because if you discount it, then how much is it really worth? You know what I mean? And so some of it is signaling. You know what I mean? A Mercedes costs $60,000 because
it's a Mercedes.
People want to pay that and for the status.
Exactly.
And they feel that that's what it's worth.
So you're telling me if you go in and say, look, I want the Bugatti booty. If you want the Bugatti booty, you're gonna pay $30,000. If you want a Nissan Sentra ass, you'll be in out in 5 minutes, and I'll give you a little cheek, and you're out of here.
Basically, what you're telling the community is, yes, if you want Dr. So-and-so to do your surgery, it's going to cost a certain amount, and we're not going to discount it because it has value. You know what I mean?
Right.
What I value. And so one thing, though, is the American Society of Plastic Surgeons states that if we make an incision on someone, we cannot give that procedure away. So you can do Botox and filler, you can do all that for free. But if you make an incision, because incisions have risk.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was
so
thinking.
you cannot do that procedure for free, because people would subject themselves to risks that they wouldn't otherwise if it weren't free.
Right.
And so ethically, we're not supposed to give away surgery, and surgery is defined as needing to make an incision.
Okay, but can I ask you this? As a businessman, because at the end of the day, I understand you're a doctor, but you're also a businessman, and it's almost like anything else. I don't care if you're going house shopping or you're going car shopping.
Yeah.
Do you have your prices? Meaning, if I'm a person that want to get a new nose and I go to New Mexico and the nose is going to cost me $3,200, right? I can go to such and such. He doing noses for $15. But then I go to Dr. Andrews in Iowa, and his noses cost $5,200. But you can smell like a motherfucker with them new noses. That with the doc, is it like, hey, your work is better than this doctor, and that's why, like sports, you're an all-star, and that guy's only scored 10 points. Like there's a reason why this price comes with this doctor. If
Absolutely.
That makes any sense.
Some of it is geography, right? Some of it is what you can command in Southern California is not what you can command in Iowa. And the other thing is, when you discount, right? When plastic surgeons are fighting, everybody loses. Right.
Yeah.
So you're undercutting and you're undercutting.
Right.
It becomes a commodity business, and everybody loses, right? And so the idea is everybody, and there's stuff called price collusion. You're not supposed to do that. But if you discount, do a breast augmentation for $3,000, well, that becomes the prevailing price, and you can't really charge more.
And now, right, and it gets around. Like I was almost trying to. I guess I'm putting it in a way of, since you are in Iowa, heart of middle of America, I was just assuming that it would be less to get breast augmentation in Iowa than it would be in Manhattan Beach.
Well,
or is that the truth?
Rent might be lower. Your rent might be lower.
Right.
And
the costs are different. That's exactly right. Yeah.
You know how
but the titty's the same. The titty's the same. It's just the rent is different. Correct?
Yeah, that's right. The costs are different. I mean, so people make more. You got to pay your staff more. Yes, all that is. Yeah.
Remember when you're getting a boob? The boob comes from the same medical company that sells the boob to every single doctor.
There are only 3 in the United States. Right. Yeah. So the implants come. Yeah.
But
so that made sense what I said. The titty is the same, but the rent is different.
Yeah,
right.
and surgery centers are huge costs, and in LA, the rent is so expensive in Beverly Hills. A surgery center in Beverly Hills might be $100,000 a rent per month or more versus
sure.
$20,000 somewhere else.
For sure. That's why being in Beverly Hills is tough. A lot of people ask me why I live in Iowa. It's tough. I mean, there's a building, the building that Dr. Nassif is in, right, from Bosch. Yeah. There are 12 plastic surgeons in that one building. 120 Spalding in Beverly Hills. 12 plastic surgeons in the one building.
And I promise you, on top of those 12,000 plastic surgeons, they are also having other doctors come in to do insurance cases on top of that to pay the overhead. Because I work for them. I work for them. Yeah. Rent is so expensive, and you always bring in like 15 other doctors doing surgeries to cover the cost. You can't cover the cost.
Dr. Andrews, this is my last question.
Yes,
the vaccine.
Yes, sir.
What is your feeling on it? Do you believe in it? Have you taken it? Would you take it? And talk to us how you feel about this situation.
Absolutely. So I would 100% take it. I've had it. I get my second shot, 21 days. I had the Pfizer. And so 21 days. Moderna's.
How do you feel, Khalil?
No.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
But
the Funny Don't Stop show.
Yeah, I feel great actually.
When did you get it?
So about 2 weeks ago, my arm is sore. Let me say this. Absolutely, I understand that there's some skepticism in the Black community, with the medical establishment, and those thoughts are real. We have been used. There are health disparities. They talk about, Black women who have breast cancer, don't get the same treatment. They don't get the same sympathy and empathy from the doctors. Some of them will not, be offered certain treatments that other people are offered. And so there's definitely health disparities. There's no doubt about it. But with this, the vaccine is going to save lives, right? And so I'll say a couple of things. The Pfizer vaccine was developed by a company called BioNTech, right? And there were two Turkish scientists. They were husband and wife. They had already been working on mRNA vaccines for flu. They were working on one with Bill Gates, with the Gates Foundation, trying to develop an HIV vaccine. When it's a guy named Shaheen, when he read about the pandemic in January of 2020, he said, our company is one of the only companies in the world who has the technology to develop a vaccine in the time that the vaccine was developed, right? And so that's very important to understand. I had people say, oh, this is the government, and chemical warfare and all this and that. This vaccine was developed by the first one that was approved was the Pfizer vaccine, was developed by someone who said, I am going to try and help humanity, right? This guy actually was already a billionaire. He had a previous company. And if you read an article about Dr. Shaheen, he does not own a car. He lives in Germany. He's an immigrant. We can talk about that. There was some racism, with him being a Turkish scientist in Germany. But the guy lives in an apartment. He has one child. He is a billionaire, doesn't even own a car. Right. So he didn't do any of this for the money. You have all these people talking about Anthony Fauci is doing this for the money. That's outrageous. Anthony Fauci has been at the National Institute of Allergy and Immunology for years and years. And if he wanted to go out and make money, if it was about money, he would have gone into private practice. This man has been a patriot. And so Shaheen developed this mRNA vaccine. They had already been working on a vaccine, like I said, for the flu with Pfizer, and he knew that he did not have the wherewithal, from a business standpoint, to deploy this vaccine throughout the world. So he worked with Pfizer, right? And so I had the vaccine. Again, I had some soreness in my arm. And the other thing about, well, how was it developed so quickly? Should we trust it? Well, in statistics, right, there is something called the N, and that's number needed to treat to prove a difference, right? So a smaller difference, you need more patients to prove that difference, because a difference can be based on chance. And I'm sure Sid kind of understands some of this, but a larger difference, right? So a 90% effectiveness, you need fewer patients. The other thing so again, you can do the clinical trial in a shorter period of time if you're proving a larger difference. And so you don't need as many patients in that. And the other thing to do a clinical trial during a pandemic, you have tons of people who are at risk for developing the disease. And so it's much quicker to do it from a statistical standpoint, because say you need 100 patients in your study to become positive, to prove that having the vaccine where 100 people are negative, don't get it, who were vaccinated. If it's during a pandemic, you have people being diagnosed every day, right? Opposed to people developing breast cancer. So during a pandemic, it's quicker to do a clinical trial based on having a randomized trial where you need people to get to become positive, to prove that people who are vaccinated who do not come positive are protected by the vaccine. So that's the other reason it was able to be done quicker. And so absolutely, African Americans and anyone out there listening should trust that this vaccine was tested in the United States. And the other thing, the reason the United States took longer to approve it is that the FDA did not just take the company's word for it. The FDA, opposed to what happened in Europe, and I'm not saying that it was bad, but in the United States, they take the 2,500 pages of data and they crunch it themselves in the FDA, at the FDA in the United States. That's why they crunch the numbers themselves, right? And so they didn't take the company's word for it. So I would implore anyone, if you have access now, because I'm a healthcare worker, I was offered the vaccine sooner, but there'll be other tiers. I was in whatever, the first tier. There'll be other tiers. And if you have the opportunity to have it, I'm, again, totally, I didn't get sick. Some people say with the second dose, you get a little bit sicker, but I had just a little soreness in my arm. And I get the flu vaccine every year. As a healthcare worker, I have to get the flu vaccine as well. I get sicker from that than I got from the coronavirus vaccine. So I would encourage anyone out there. Absolutely.
So guys, let's all go tomorrow. Let's all go tomorrow.
Can we not hang up? No, you're not kidding. But Germany is more advanced anyway in medicine than we are. Didn't stem cell research and stuff come out of Germany? Because they do more treatments for Parkinson's, because my mom has Parkinson's, and I really wanted her to fly there, and she won't.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, Betsy, with respect to that, the FDA can sometimes be very restrictive, right? And so there are, the scientific community is very large, and there's a lot of camaraderie, and that's why they publish papers, right? Yeah. To say, hey, I did this study, you guys repeat it based on how I did it, right? And so, a lot of, stem cell research goes on all over the world, but the FDA is a little bit, more stringent, right? And so people say, well, wow, all these regulations, where, if you think about it, you show them some grace, and really what they're trying to do is make sure it's safe, right? The number one thing is safety. The number two thing is efficacy. They want to make sure, number one, it doesn't kill anybody, right? And they want to make sure, number two, that's the phase 1 trial is a safety trial, right? And the subsequent trials are determined. So there's 3 phases are to determine whether it's effective or not, right? And so, yes, the FDA can be slower than other countries, but like I say, I show people grace, and hope people have our best interests, and the FDA really does have our best interests. And can that mean that something developed in Germany might reach the market sooner than the United States? It does. And that's why, again, if your mom has the opportunity to do that, more power to her. And it probably is going to be effective. But the FDA, sometimes take longer than other countries. Yes.
Yeah.
Ma'am. Interesting.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have to give a big round of applause for a very, very amazing show. It was super informative. Man, Khalil, I don't even know how to say thank you so much. I learned so much today, and I know a lot of people also. I'm not the only one that learned a lot. I'm proud of you. I said this was going to be the last thing, but I got to say one quick last thing. Is there a small amount of African American plastic surgeons out there? Like, is there a number on you guys? Because I feel like it's not a lot of us. Are you one of 100? Is there 2,000 of y'all? Like I'm really proud of you, man. Like this, I'm blown away.
Plastic surgeons that are trained every year, And there is a shortage of physicians in certain specialties. There aren't a lot of African Americans, but I will say after George Floyd, right, just like what happened at certain companies throughout the United States. I mean, there is a new initiative, and not just African American, but women as well, right? Trying to increase the number of women in certain fields, and so hopefully something positive will come out of the George Floyd situation and the racial unrest that we had, in medicine for African Americans in all walks of life. I mean,
right.
In DC, there's a black woman who just was named the head of MSNBC, and I would imagine that what recently happened may have had some influence on that as well. With that being said, you got a shout out to Shonda Rhimes, right? You guys watch the new show.
Yes.
So good.
Wait,
Shout
speaking
out to her because she is the queen of the world, man. She is dominating. I'm obsessed with her.
Hey, and real quick, tell your wife, tell Amara I said hi.
Sure, I will.
And the family.
Yes, indeed.
And real quick, let them know where they can find you at, man. Like, just let everybody know your Instagram and then also your website.
Yep. So, Dr. Andrews Plastic Surgery and Dr. Khalil Andrews on Facebook. And again, we're on Instagram. We're actually on TikTok right now as well.
So what are you, TikToking with saline bags? You doing saline dances with your TikTok? Explain that. How you gonna TikTok, Khalil?
So, I mean, we have, our staff doing dances and all that kind of stuff. It's fun. In this day and age, right, to be competitive, you have to be on all the platforms. Just like you guys are on YouTube, you're on Dash Radio. I mean, you got to be competitive. You got to be on all platforms. And so, yes, we'll do time lapses of procedures. Like somebody comes in to have like a facial procedure.
Right, exactly.
And then to show the before and afters.
Right. I got a saying for that. And you can use this, guys of our age. I say, get with the times or get left behind.
That's right. Yep. Exactly right. So we're trying to do everything. Yeah, we're trying to do it all.
You guys,
I'll be watching your Instagram, and the white girl wants this, and this. So when I'm playing,
we'll get it done.
Hey, man, I love you, brother. Happy New Year. One more big round of applause for Dr. Khalil Andrews. We'll talk to you soon, Khalil. All right, brother. All right. Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, any final thoughts? Say it. You got any final thoughts as we walk away?
No, definitely, man. I'm gonna have to just kind of meditate, as Raul would say, meditate on this show, man. It's like so many new words in the vocabulary. Y'all gonna see me using them, and you be like, "Yo, say it, stop it."
Say it. We're talking about finances, not tits, man. You're talking about new clits and tucking in your balls and making it a clitoris. That's not what we're talking about. No, but he did use so many words that I was like, I'm not even gonna try to you. All I know is you can tell the brother is very well educated.
Yeah.
He went to 4 different. I just remember as our 20s, our 30s, he went to Johns Hopkins. He went to Berkeley's medical. All I know is Khalil did 12 years of medical school, and he deserves every bit of what he got, man. I'm just super proud of him. Sav, you got any final words?
Nah, man. It's just for the simple fact that I always admire a person with a sense of humor, education, well-spoken, and for a person that comes from the same concrete that I came from and was able to accomplish that. So it's always motivational to see something like that.
Let me tell you something. When we were in junior high school, not even get into it, we used to go visit his pops because his dad lived in Compton. So he was straight from the same soil, all of us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So Betsy, any final thoughts?
Yeah, he's a genius, and I actually think you should ask him to come back on because it's absolutely incredible, and he's such a good-hearted person. Talking about the transgender thing, and the situation, how sad it is, and he gets to help that situation. There's so many things, and women who go through breast cancer, that he can actually help people feel good about themselves. That's very, heart-wrenching and beautiful. He's a great, I love him. And
Dr. Andrews.
I need to be flying this.
Hey, y'all met somebody new today. I'm just, you know what I mean? Right. What do you think, Raul?
Hey, whenever I need these wrinkles out of here, man, I'm gonna hit him. I'm hitting him up.
Botox.
I thought you were gonna say if you want to get rid of 2 wrinkles and get 2 new balls, all you gotta do is hit him up. He can put the balls on your hip. He can put them wherever you want them placed. You can put 2 balls under your elbow. Yeah, exactly. Dr. Andrews, I was thinking about getting an extra nut. Is that possible?
I need an extra sack.
Yeah, I want an extra sack for 2022. Can you do that for me? Man. Okay, well, you guys, amazing show. I love y'all. Make sure everybody that watched the show today, I hope you were well informed. I hope that you guys got your laugh on. And hey, like we said, we find the funny and everything, but sometimes it's not all going to be fun and games and jokes. You're going to learn a lot on this show also. So say it. Let them know where they can find you at.
Yeah, you can find me at SEDBRASS.
Absolutely savvy, amusing.
Instagram and everything else, social media, savvy, amusing.
Raul.
You can find me at the Big Goose, DABIGGUZ.
And Betsy Cox.
I'm going to take a page from Savvy's book, Instagram and everything else, social media at Maroon Betsy.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. I love y'all. You can catch me at Funny Man Alex Thomas, but you also know every single Tuesday I'm right here at
The Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't Stop. Hey, the Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't Stop. The Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't Stop. The Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't Stop. Hey, the Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't Stop. Hey, the Funny Don't Stop Show. The Funny Don't